All right, Ashley, are you ready to go?
Yeah, I think so.
Does everyone have their tools ready? I don't know how much drawing I'll do. If I do draw, it's gonna be bad.
So nothing will change.
Ashley, what's your topic? What
Mhm.
are you here to tell us about?
I'm here to tell you guys about my favorite video game series when I was growing up, Professor Layton. It's meant for people who aren't really per se like gamers, but like, you know how when everybody was buying DSs, not everybody was buying like Mario or something like that. They were buying like Brain Age or
Yes,
something like
exactly.
that.
I was about to say, is this the brain
Yeah,
age crowd?
the story is very over the top. There's so many twists and turns, and it was just very entertaining for a 12-year-old Ashley. The main characters throughout the series are usually Professor Layton, Professor Herschel Layton. He is a professor of archaeology at the British University, Gressenheller University. He's known for being a classic British gentleman, a lover of tea, puzzles, and mystery. And Luke Triton, his apprentice, our self-proclaimed apprentice. But in the prequels, they talk about how Luke and Leighton meet. Let's cover story chronology. I will be covering the Professor Layton and the Diabolical Box today. That is the second game in the first original trilogy.
I've played a tiny bit of this game, a
Yeah.
sprinkle of it. So far,
Um,
so far, the only drawing is my poor attempt at a Leighton head with a
That's what
hat.
he looks like. He looks like a Lego man with a top hat. Prologue. It's a voiceover. She introduces us to the rumor of the Elysian box. It's said to bring death upon any who open its lid. Leighton receives a letter from his mentor and current colleague, Dr. Andrew Schrader, saying that he has been researching the Elysian box, obtained it, and decided to open it. He tells Leighton that if the box really does kill him, like if the rumors are true, he wants Leighton to continue with his research. Let yourself in, you'll find my dead body. And that's what Leighton does. And they find him dead with the box nowhere in sight. And then they find a train ticket for this train called the Momentary Express. It's known to be like a luxury kind of train. They call it a cruise ship on rails. This train ticket has no destination on it. It's only numbers. Inspector Chelney bursts into the apartment. He's this kind of gruff guy, like, ugh.
Inspector who?
Chelney.
I thought you said Chumley, like from Pawn Stars.
He has like this giant like T-Rex model in his room. So the inspector was like, hey, he just saw that in the middle of the night and was like, I'm scared. And then Leighton's like, I'm not sure about that. You find that that somebody actually did break into the house and stole the box. We know from the beginning that Inspector Chumley is not really the smartest. Leighton is established as the real brains. They keep the train ticket and they decide to board the train themselves. One of the patrons is a woman that is complaining that she's lost her boy. She's like, oh, where's my boy? You know, it's going to be dangerous, but that just means you'll have to be extra careful. Aww.
It's not
Comes with
cute.
them.
I'm scared now. Oh, just a family-friendly adventure for a box that makes people kill themselves for as much as we know? Yes,
I don't know.
let's send children on this quest. Yay!
They wander around the train. They meet the train's founder, Mr. Beluga. And also, while on the train, you get a hamster minigame because Luke can talk to animals and he finds a hamster in the kitchen. So while the train is being repaired in Dropstone, Layton and crew decide to explore the town in hopes of finding more leads.
Mr. Beluga Whale.
That doesn't look like a whale.
It looks like a PlayStation trophy.
So Flora is Layton's like adoptive daughter.
Yeah, exactly. He just likes to collect orphans, I guess. Collect was the wrong word. They find out that it's Dropstone's 50th anniversary. So there's like a festival going on. It's really cute, really folksy. There's a bunch of balloons. While this is going on, the mayor's daughter, is planning on leaving the town to fulfill like some dying wish of her grandmother. This girl, her name is Katya, and they're really willing to support her and like do what you want. You're your own person now. And they explore the festival that has a bunch of games, and while they're in the crowd, Flora, unbeknownst to Layton and Luke, gets pulled away by a shadowy figure. They think she's just lost, so they try to find her. She's not acting herself. Then Layton and Luke are like, it's a long journey. Weak women, am I right? Still rather suspicious if you're paying attention and you know the history of people being abducted in Layton games.
But she's still with them?
She just needs a nap. It's time to reboard the train. Layton and company see a woman with short purple hair and blue eyes boarding the train and being sent off by a large group. This must be Katya. They decide to try to get into the off-limits deluxe part of the train. The train begins to enter a long, dark tunnel. The trio is then overwhelmed by nausea and exhaustion, so like they pretty much immediately fall asleep. While they're asleep in the tunnel, the deluxe train is unhitched from the main train and joins another train in the intersection in the tunnel, and then they go off in a different direction.
I did the little tracing of the map with the red X. Do you like it? Did it turn out good?
Oh, it's very nice. Sammy Thunder is saying, everybody get ready to rock. The next stop is Folsense. So they deduced that Dr. Schrader must have visited the town before his death. They also realize since departing the tunnel, it's still dark outside, even though they're not in a tunnel.
We're here at the next page.
Folsense.
We're going to call it full synth.
Wait, so how do you spell it?
FOLS.
You lost me.
Everything appears to be dark. They get to this train station and it looks pretty much abandoned. While they're in the train station, there's a ton of paintings and pictures. Historical Folsense. And the latest that it gets up to is 50 years ago. These pictures show that the town is full of light and life. There's tons of people walking around. And then they're hit like with a wave of nausea again. Not unlike the one they experienced on the train. The town looks exactly like it did 50 years ago. They would have noticed if there was like tons of lights, and then they're like, what? And they turn around and now the train station is like fully lit up too. Florist says, oh, I feel tired. So they bring her to a hotel so she can rest while Layton and Luke continue without her. And they learn of a rumor that there's a vampire living in the late Duke's castle outside of town.
What?
And a rumor... What? There's a rumor that the town is cursed. They try and learn more about the late Duke and try visiting the town's museum, the Herzen Museum. They find that it's a photo of the Elysian box. And on the top of the box of the picture, there's a goat emblem, which Layton saw on the ground outside the museum. And it's also around all of the town of Folsense. They quickly pocketed Inspector Chelmey's partner, Barton. He's like a little policeman. Hey, you guys better come back to the hotel. Inspector Chelmey's about to solve the murder of Dr. Schrader. You're going to want to be there because you guys are suspects. The suspects include Flora, Katya, Beluga, Sammy, Luke, and Layton. So all of the important characters we basically met so far. Chelmey then explains his investigation. Based on Dr. Schrader's notes, which he looked through, murderer must have followed him from Folsense to get the Elysian box. Mr. Beluga has an alibi for London, like in London at the time. Then he concludes this whole monologue about his investigation, accusing Sammy, saying that he wanted to beat his uncle to the punch in getting the box.
The edgy kid on the train?
Yeah, the punk rock kid. Chelmey then begins to place Sammy under arrest. No, I didn't do it. I don't know what you mean. And while all of this is happening, Layton is like studying the photograph of the Elysian box, like a pondering stoic man. Flora's like looking over his shoulder and she's like, huh, what a cute goat emblem. Layton stops Chelmey, saying that Sammy is not the culprit, and says if the culprit was among them, they would be the only one to have seen the Elysian box in person. It must be Flora. Luke is taken aback, as is everyone else.
It looks like a frog, but Flora thought it was a goat.
Yeah, it looks like a frog, but Flora thought it was a goat. which it is a goat, but without the missing piece that blew away in the wind, it looks like a frog.
Oh, so only she knows. So Flora's really that dumb that she totally gave herself up.
Flora commends Layton and reveals herself to be actually Don Paolo in disguise, the villain from the first game. Takes off the mask and is actually this old man that was pretending to be Flora. Don Paolo sheds the Flora costume and reveals that he stole the box from Dr. Schrader, abducted Flora in Dropstone, put her in a barn. He is pursued by Chelmy and Barton, but then he escapes. While he's being pursued, he drops the box. It's the Elysian box is in our presence now. Luke picks up the box, but then Beluga says that it's rightfully his. It's a Hertzen family heirloom, and he's the son of the late Duke Hertzen. The box is the key to finding the family fortune, and he wants it. But then the bellhop of the hotel intercedes and says that Beluga abandoned the town and cut ties with his father over 50 years ago due to a disagreement between him and his father. Thus, he has no claim to the box. Layton and Luke, they go to their room and they open the box to see what happens. There's much suspense, and Luke is like cringing, trying to not look at it, and there's like a swell of suspenseful music, and then they open it up and there's nothing in it, and they don't die.
Yay!
Yay! I know, right? So they decide to go to the museum again. Mr. Beluga actually founded the museum, and they learn from looking at a bunch of pictures and whatever that Beluga had an older brother named Anton. And they talked a little bit to people, and they find out that Anton apparently still lives in the castle of the late Duke. It looks pretty much abandoned from the outside. It's like a Gothic castle, and it's like, you think immediately upon looking at it, like, oh yeah, a vampire could live here. They meet the butler, Nigel, who greets them at the door, only lets them enter if they've completed at least 80 puzzles. The exterior was dark and shadowed and really spooky, and there's like no light coming from it, but the interior is like a castle. Like, this is a castle, like a Disney castle. Gold accents everywhere. It's shining marble, velvet drapes and carpet. Oh, it's kind of nice. Anton greets them, and he says that they're just in time for dinner. Anton appears exactly like he did 50 years ago in the pictures in the museum. Blonde, with pale skin and really scary blue eyes. He looks like a vampire. He could fit the description. Side note, Anton doesn't appear to be eating anything. He just appears to be drinking a glass of red wine, or what else could be red that's liquid? Blood, maybe? They ask about the box. Yeah, it has the emblem of my family, but I parted with it many years ago because I found the emblem rather garish. Layton's like, oh, I find it quite nice. It's really striking. And then he's like, chalk it up to my bad taste then.
Chuck,
So,
what is this weird anime flirting?
and then he says it's getting late, and he invites them to stay the night at the castle. So Nigel escorts them to a room. They go to bed. They both seem to have like a shared vision while they're sleeping of themselves at a ball. Anton is dancing with a woman with long purple hair and green eyes. She looks a lot like Katya, and Luke comments on that. But when they wake up, they're in a storage closet and they're like tied up. And Anton says, he's like in the doorway, and he's like, you better enjoy your last moments while they last. And then he leaves.
That's an amazing line.
And then Layton and Luke manage to escape via puzzle, of course. And while leaving, they run into Katya. Why are you here? And she's like, I could ask you the same. Why are you here? They're like, why are you hanging out with a vampire? And she's like, Anton's not a vampire. He's just, it's not my place to say.
I don't care about his politics. We love each other.
Next page.
Next page.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Everyone look at the bottom right.
You better enjoy your last moments while they last, and your last moments.
You really brought a birthday gift to my birthday party?
He's not a vampire, but she's like, he's going mad, so you guys have to leave. At this point, I'm confused. Little Shlee is confused. They attempt to leave the castle, but just before they can get out, Anton stops them. He then stops and stares at Katya, saying, "Come closer, my dear sweet Sophia. I've missed you so." And she shakes her head, and she hides behind Layton in fear. So Anton says, "Huh, is this how it is? I didn't see this coming, Layton. Not at all." And then he draws a sword from his belt, and then he lunges at Layton, and Layton avoids the blow successfully. So then it cuts to a puzzle, and then you have to decide which sword to choose for the sword battle, the sword fight or whatever. And then they start sword fighting around the room. And yeah, something strange is happening to me. And then he's like, "I just need to catch my breath." And then he lunges again. Katya pleads for him to stop. Anton doesn't listen and falls into Layton's arms. And Katya says, "Please just stop, grandfather. Your body can't take it. You haven't figured it out, have you? You really don't know? Then I guess it's up to me to tell you the truth." She explains to Anton that she is Anton's granddaughter. What? Look at me. I'm too young to be, like, a grandfather. Katya explains that everything in the town, including his youth, is an illusion. The precious metal in the mine that the miners discovered 50 years ago unleashed a hallucinogenic gas. None of the residents of Folsence today exist. So they had a preconceived notion of what the town would look like, and that's what they saw. But he says no town really remains unchanged in 50 years. We see a flashback of Anton talking to Sophia, who looks a lot like Katya. She says that she needs to leave or everyone she loves will die. Anton thinks that she left him for another man, but then Katya explains that Sophia did not betray Anton, and she was actually pregnant with Anton's child, and she left to protect the baby. The vampire rumor was started by Anton to protect the family fortune. Anton is distraught with the knowledge that Sophia is dead. He starts violently lashing out and unintentionally slices the chains holding up the chandelier like it's a pulley system.
Is this still the same game? Is this?
It is.
What? No one's even mentioned the box. It's like
we'll get there.
We went from like a fun romp about a box that makes you commit suicide to a very dark and edgy and like almost erotic vampire story. Like, this is an anime.
Him cutting the chains of the chandelier causes the chandelier to collapse into the floor, and the castle starts to crumble along with it. The illusion of the town of Folsence then begins to disappear. Anton's true appearance is revealed as well, and he's an old and fragile man. Layton then returns the box to Anton and concludes that there is no curse on the town, and the metal that the Elysian box is made out of is infused with a hallucinogenic gas, causing people's expectations, death, to come true. Aside from the gas, it's just an ordinary box then. Anton intercedes then and says that it is not ordinary. He says the box was crafted to hold the words of his heart, and it contains a hidden message for Sophia. There's a second way of opening it, a way that reveals the secret message for Sophia. The secret to opening it up is part of a poem. It says, "The sun rises when you and I meet, and when the wind blows, you will know my heart." You look at the bottom of the box, and there are two figurines on the bottom. And to solve the box, you have to rotate it so the two figures are facing each other. And there's a little sun, like, dial, and then you have to lift that up, and then it reveals a keyhole that you can blow into, and then it'll open. And because of the handy-dandy controls of the DS, you can actually literally blow into it, and then it'll open up. And a letter is inside. And then Anton looks at it, and he's like, "Wait a second. This isn't my handwriting. It's Sophia's handwriting. It did reach her." She says that Katya reminds her so much of Anton, and she was never able to forget about Anton. She hopes that Katya can meet Anton one day because Sophia didn't have the strength to be able to venture out and meet Anton again in her final years of life. So yeah, it's very sweet. And then Anton reconciles with Katya, acknowledging that she is his granddaughter and apologizing for his misplaced anger. He says that he was overwhelmed with grief after Sophia left him, so he started lashing out and just completely did not pay attention to the world around him. And then he refers to Sophia looking up at the sky and says that she'll have to wait a while because he wants to get to know someone here. Luke and Layton go back to rescue Flora from the barn that she was in because of Don Paulo. Dr. Schrader was saved via a medical procedure.
Oh.
It ends with Layton saying that he has to pay Dr. Schrader a visit. And Luke's like, actually, Professor, you have a symposium scheduled for tomorrow. And then Layton says, one must always show gratitude to their teachers. That's what a gentleman does. And then it cuts to the end.
Ding.
Yay. So that's it. That's Professor Layton in the Diabolical Box.
Yay! Congratulations! Yay! That was so fun.
Chocolate detective? Why is he a chocolate detective?
Because he's Hershey Layton.
It's Herschel.
I was making a joke. Well, thank you everyone for being here, for being a part of Expert Difficulty on this very fun episode. And thank you for watching. We have been Expert Difficulty. Like and subscribe down below. And we will catch you on the next one.
See you later.